Hey there, everyone. I'm AJ.
And I'm Carlos.
Welcome to the Roaming Minds podcast, your space for unpacking all things related to mental, cognitive, and neural health.
We're here to shift through the mass of information related to mental health and wellness. Think of us as your friendly guides, here to assist you in making actionable choices in your mental wellness journey.
Now, please understand, we are not doctors, psychologists, or therapists. We are just humans who are curious and have a passion for all things related to mental health, sharing what we've learned for informative purposes only.
Exactly. This isn't medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you're dealing with something serious, please hit up your doctor or mental health professional. Don't take our word for it.
Never skip out on expert help or put it off because of something we discussed here. If you need support right now, check the links in the description.
So buckle up, friends. Let's dive into today's convo and explore what's on our mind.
I I I like this idea of starting off with a question. And so I think that that's going to be kind of helpful. And this was one of the guiding questions really I think over the past two episodes, but I'm going to reiterate it here anyway. Last week's I know was similar. I know it wasn't the same. But we're still looking at this complicated question of when life is complex, what keeps us moving forward? Like, why isn't it that everybody just doesn't say, well, I'm good. I mean, there are people who achieve incredible outcomes in their lifetime. Why is it that they do that rather than just stopping and being done with it like other people do? Or the people who, whatever, doesn't matter. Doesn't really require different. I'm going to be able to speak today. And so, really, what we're talking about is this idea of hope and how it relates to purpose, like we talked about last week. And so, just to start off with some definitions, hope, when we say that, we're talking about that expectation and belief in a better future that is grounded in possibility. And rather than get on a 10-minute tangent about defining possibility, we will come back to that in a minute or two. Purpose is that guiding reason that gives life direction and meaning over long term, right? You can have short term purposes, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like long term life satisfaction, psychological purpose. And so to help us define hope, I'm going to very briefly talk about Snyder's hope theory. And this is a very high level overview. I'm not going super detailed into it. This is just to kind of help guide our conversation. One of the big things it can kind of be distilled down into is agency plus pathways equals hope. And so
Mhm.
that requires more definitions, obviously. Don't worry, that's okay. We got it, right? Agency refers to motivational energy. So the energy that one has to do something, or belief in one's own capacity to initiate and sustain actions towards goals. Okay. So this is the starting point. That agency is I've taken responsibility. I know that this is possible. I'm going to go ahead and I'm ready to start trying to do it. Then pathways. Can I see a route to take to be able to do this?
Yeah.
If I can't see a path or I don't believe that I can do it, I can't have hope. All right, it certainly won't be as effective, right? I might
Well,
be able to see the path.
I
Bef-
mean, I was gonna say you could have the hope, but is it then that hope? Well, because we'll get into the definition is no longer based in reality or something that is achievable now. That is,
Mhm.
you have the hope, but that is far-fetched. That is beyond the means at which you can act, all your capacity at which you can achieve the purpose, and therefore that hope.
Mhm. Right. And I think that this is super helpful in explaining that expectation and belief in a better future that is grounded in possibility. And because if I believe that I can do it, then it's possible. If I can see the pathway to doing it, it's possible. Those two are super important for whether or not it's possible, because we could sit here, as we've done before, and try and play all the different scenarios of like what's possible and what's not possible. And the reality is that I couldn't rationally and logically work out what is possible and what is not possible. We definitely looked at a few few examples
Yeah.
when like brainstorming this episode, and none of them, I, I, I found all of them to be insufficient, because
Mhm.
there was a workaround based off of hope and the framework that
It's
I'll go
used.
ahead and we'll talk about. We did talk about that framework of passion, purpose, and goals over the past week or two. I wanna add now a little bit to that. I wish I don't have like a piece of paper nearby, or I would just grab it and write it out maybe. No, that's not gonna happen.
Well, remember, this might be just for the visual listener, but I don't know, try to explain it
Right. Yeah,
as a.
yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna explain it. So you have if I was gonna write it out, it would be purpose, passion, goals. In between each one, they would have interconnecting arrows, because they play back and forth with each other. It's not a straight line from passion to purpose to goals at all. It's, I need to work with my passion. My passion is going to influence purpose, but purpose is also going to drive a little bit of those passions, right? Like,
Yeah.
why am I here? Am I really that passionate about that? Maybe. It's a delicate balance. Then you also have an interconnecting arrows for purpose and goals, because those two are so intertwined, and
Hmm.
as I achieve more goals, my purpose can then become refined. None of these things are static. Your passions can change over time, which can then inform your purpose, but you could use what you had as a purpose to be able to influence a new passion, etc. And the same can be done with goals. Now, what I want to add is a a part above the hope, not hopes, the purpose and goals, that is hope, with interconnecting arrows going between passion, I mean, purpose and goals, with the, again, bidirectional arrows happening at both, because they form this nice little triad. And I think that they all work interrelatedly in order to propel us forward. When we start achieving goals that are related to our purpose, even if they're not, it doesn't matter. When we start achieving those goals, we start to believe that we can do things, informing hope, expectation, and belief in a better future. If I'm achieving goals, then I know at some level I can do these things. Purpose, what am I here for? What am I supposed to do? Is then going to help us in determining those pathways that we need in order to move forward. And again, all of this is constantly working in unison and updating as we go throughout this lifetime. But if any one of them becomes off, it doesn't break down entirely. I mean, it can. And I think that we see the breakdown entirely in terms of depression.
No, I was
But
gonna say the it's really the passion, hope, and the purpose. Those are the one. I don't think really the goals is involved, but like the
mhm,
goals is the actionable steps.
mhm.
So, but like the actual belief of oneself, those goes within like the hope, the passion, and purpose. And if you lose one of those, then that can lead to depression. Sorry, I think I've cut you off early, and you could have explained that better.
No, 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 no. In all honesty, I hate to say it, but I'm going to disagree with you. Um, Not
Well, I think you said. Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong in its entirety, and I don't I I mean I think that you do have there are very valid points. The only thing that I disagree with, and I mean the only thing, is
mhm,
that goals don't play a role in our belief. Because the more goals that I achieve, the more I'm going to believe that I'm capable of doing something. And that's why I say they really just have bidirectional arrows
sure.
because they're constantly informing one another. My purpose is constantly informing my goals. My goals are constantly informing hope. Hope is constantly informing my goals and constantly informing my purpose. My purpose is defining the hope, and all of those things have to come together in order to be at like I hate to say it, but like at maximum efficiency. Because again, you can not be achieving goals at some point in time, and maybe you're not going to lose hope entirely. You can lose a little bit of hope but still be achieving goals. You can not be 100% clear on your purpose, you maybe 50, 60, 70%, something like that, and still have goals and still have hope. It's when they become completely disconnected from each other that I think that we start to see the problem, and I think that that's where that depression kind of lies, right? I mean, the death of hope is an ugly fucking place to be. If you lose hope, you lose purpose. That's gone. There's what's the point? But then you also lose goals all at the same time. And so if you lose all of those, what's left? Passion? And then at that point, do you really have that
No,
anymore either? I mean,
it's nothing. Nothing is left. You have lost. I don't want to say you lost it all, but you've lost that ability to see the future, see get making actionable goals and
mhm.
attainable goals. You've lost that ability, and once that ability is lost, that sounds very macabre. But what is there to live for?
No, I understand, and I think I'm gonna refine that framework yet again right here, right now, because why not? I would put the triad above all of it. Right? So I would put hope above everything, and with those bidirectional arrows going back to purpose as well, because the death of hope is really like the death of everything. I mean, even if you have 5% hope, it's
That's
better than
something.
having none. And that's why I want to kind of refine that, because hope really is that driving factor. Hope is what gets you to go out and find those passions. Hope is what helps you to find that purpose, because if you believe that there's a purpose, you've got hope for better things, no matter what. And then we've already been over all of that, right? So that's why I say I'm just refining. It's not, I mean, I thought about it. I was like, well, what if it was a big square? Well, it's not a big square because it's not like, I mean, hope is really at the root of all of that, and it works interchangeably with everything. Maybe it needs more refinement, maybe it doesn't, who knows. I think we've just beat the shit out of it and now we're done and over with. And that's okay. I mean, really what it gets to, and I think that this is the best summation of it, is hope as the vision of possibility with purpose
Hmm.
being the guide.
Yeah, beautiful.
Cuz it really is. I mean, it's what's possible. And can I achieve it? Do I believe that I can achieve what is possible? And then is it aligned with what I want to do? Because you don't have to have purpose in order to have hope. But if you do, if everything is working in a nice, cohesive fashion, it is a very powerful tool to be able to get through absolutely anything. I will definitely tell you, not really so much within the past, in all honesty, probably not since my son has been born, and like the 9 months or whatever leading up to that have I ever completely lost hope.
Mm.
That is almost entirely due to the fact that I know that part of the purpose of myself is to take care of him. And I'm not, whatever that looks like, that we don't need to get into the semantics of what
Yeah.
taking care of him is, because his needs are dynamic and shift over time, just like all of our needs. So I don't want to, I did not want to go down that road, not by any stretch of the imagination. But it is incredibly powerful when, and I just to come back to that theory, especially when you are trying to get out of dark places at first. Not again, not over time. If all right, so let's say, I'm 16, 17, 18 years old. My wires are crossed in 17 million different ways, and I have no idea what's going on. I have no passions, which means I guaranteed have no purpose, because I can't even begin to think about that from there. And I have
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I have no goals. That was very obviously recognizable. And so, how is it that one has hope with no purpose, no passion, no goals? Well, okay, I didn't. That's a guarantee. Now, this was also 2 whole decades ago. So 20 years is what we're looking at in terms of timeline and self development. When first starting that process, the first thing that I needed was some sort of purpose. It really didn't matter what it was. It didn't made no difference if it was making the bed in the morning because I felt better, or taking care of myself in a hygienic manner. And I'm not saying I didn't, but like regular haircuts. I mean things like that. I giving a shit about the person with which I chose to step out of the house as, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Finding those little purposes then allowed me to go in and start to begin to find my passions. What is it that I am super interested in? When I found those passions, then I could start refining that purpose over the long term. And I wasn't reliant on those short term purposes in order to sustain me day to day. Because in no way, shape, or form, I'm going to tell you, could I have seen a pathway out of the darkness. I was certain I was dead by 21.
Hmm.
Okay. That was, and it didn't even matter to me at that point. I was like, fuck it. I made it this far, which is crazy.
And he old, guys. He real old.
However, then once I refined that purpose over the long term, then I could start setting long-term goals. Those goals then started refining my purpose again, because my purpose grew and got bigger, because I am capable of believing more than I ever thought imagine. Dude, I'm telling you, when I was younger, especially, I didn't think I could do anything. I thought I was an idiot. I had absolutely nothing to offer this lifetime. I'm not, that's not even like there's no downplay of anything in that.
Mm.
As far as I was concerned, I had nothing to offer the world. At
Wow.
this moment in time, I don't believe that in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying that I'm like God's gift to this earth or anything, but I know I'm not just some waste of space that is just here waiting to consume all hellaciousness until the end of time. And so getting all of those things and starting with something grew hope. I had it to some extent, obviously, because I thought, hey, maybe I can. I don't even know if I thought, in all honesty, the one thought that helped with hope the most was I knew that I could stop getting arrested. To give you an idea, I had like three misdemeanors for stupid things that you can't even get arrested for anymore that have since been expunged 3 times in the span of 3 months. I was getting arrested like once a month. I was like, what the fuck is
Wow.
going on? This is crazy. And like I said, I mean, I've never stepped foot inside of a jail cell. Nothing. These are bullshit. And so I was like, all right, I know that I can do this.
Yeah.
So I believed, and somebody helped get me a pathway. They said, here, we're going to help you out with this. And somebody stepped in to go ahead with that. Since then, I mean, I have not been arrested or had any trouble with the law since I was 18 years old. I was like, wait, when did I had to have happened at 18 because juvie, they would have, whatever.
Throw the whole book at you.
Well, no, not even that. Like, once you turn 18, your record goes out the window anyway for stuff that you've done before. And I know I had to like apply to get it expunged at some point in time. Whatever. All that stuff is gone. All it begins with is one belief and one path forward. You need both of those things in order to kind of go. And then it's super cool because it's like a current that you just kind of get swept into. You start achieving more and more and more and more because you're making more goals. You're setting more audacious goals that you're achieving. So that informs your belief. And then I can come back and I can refine my purpose further. And then I can go back and I can go and find new passions. I talk about gardening and things like that. I started gardening 5 years ago during COVID. And the only reason why we started gardening during COVID is because we were like, what the hell are we going to do all day? What am I going to do with my kid who's home all day? Well, I got it. Let's start a garden. I wasn't expecting any of that. Not even in the slightest.
Yeah.
But again, once I found that, then I can refine that purpose further.
Yeah.
Make more goals, inform hope even more, because nowadays there's never just one path forward. It's not just, oh, it's okay. Let me just go take these steps and it's going to work out perfectly. I don't think that's the case. I mean, if you want to take the company that we started, it's a perfect example. And I remember having conversations with people early on being like, yes, I understand that this is what we're trying to do. I also understand that if this isn't going to work out, we're going to shift and we're going to make this work out. I'm there in no way, shape, or form am I married to one path.
Yeah, no.
I'm open to any and all. But the only thing that has ever guided that and made that possible is the continual goal setting, the continual refinement of purpose, the continued action of going out there and finding more passions. And oddly enough, man, the more passions that I find, the more hope I have, the better my life becomes, the more grateful I am, the more times that I just get to sit back and kind of enjoy what's going on. All of these things are so basic and fundamental for us and instrumental, at least as far as I'm concerned, in developing a more positive outlook and a more healthier mindset. That's not to say that I don't have challenges, because I do all the time, regularly. I mean, we started this call with, there's some shit, man. But I'm sitting here telling you that none of them have stopped me from doing what I'm doing. We're still showing up. We're still getting the work done. And I'm still finding ways to find joy despite those struggles. And that is only because of hope and that framework. That whatever however you want to spin it, I'm just going to keep going like this the whole damn time, is is really what keeps that going. And if I ever lose any of those things, I know how to get them back. I just have to start somewhere. Okay, well, let's say I've lost hope for an hour or two. I'm like, oh my God, I don't see a way forward. Ah! It's the purpose. What purpose can I attach onto to then come back to find hope? And so this is going to kind of drive the next little bit of our conversation ultimately. And it's going to be a concept that I come back to yet again, of course, is awareness. Having that awareness to know when any of these things is out of balance or out of whack. So I did come up with some prompts
Mm-hmm.
for moving forward, and we'll put them in the description again as well. This one these two I modified because I hated the ones that were suggested
Yeah.
when I was conducting research. I really didn't like them. It was like, let me see if I can't find them. I mean, it was really, really bad. I wrote them down somewhere. It wasn't there. Yeah. Who or what matters most to you right now? Okay, maybe. But I
I
didn't.
mean, that's part of it's not the whole thing.
Right. And then what impact do you want to have even in, oh no, that's not it. Is it not it? Nope, it wasn't. I was on a different one. I'm so sorry. What are you hoping for right now? And then how does your purpose guide those hopes? And so the problem with that, if you don't have hope, how are you going to answer what are you hoping for right now? I just hope things get better. But if you don't see a path
Well,
forward, then you don't have hope anyway.
I want some hope. I want to see something else is out there. That's my. If
Right.
you ask me what I'm hoping for, and if the answer is hope, and you're like, well, how do we go about that?
Right. Even with this, I don't like what I came up with now. Again, because I came up with what is your future vision for yourself look like?
Hmm,
And do you believe you can achieve it?
that's hard
Right?
because if I think something to consider is when people lose hope, they become very pessimistic, and pessimism can cloud a lot of judgment. It can cloud a lot of our answers. And with those two specific prompts, I feel like cynicism and pessimism can easily seep into those answers and then lead people to short of actually doing that work to find the answer.
Yes. You're not entirely, I spaced out a little bit, so I'm trying to go back. And that's why, so, and correct me if I'm wrong. I updated a little bit. This is why I put in that do you believe you can achieve it? Because if you don't believe you can achieve it, that's problematic. And so in order to know where you're going, you have to have some sort of idea of how to get there, or
Hmm.
at the very least, you got to know where you want to go. And so if you know where you want to go, then, again, do you believe that you can get to that point? Follow-up question to that, like part 2, what is stopping you from achieving it, both internal and external? Because identifying those thought patterns that are stopping you in the first place is going to help you to go ahead and make that achievement. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a much better question than what
Yeah,
are you hoping for right
yeah,
now?
that is definitely yeah, much. Yes, I approve of those messages.
Yes. The second one I'm not thrilled about, and I'm still trying to think about how to refine it based off of what we've talked about. But it was, how does hope about the future relate to your purpose? And I don't think I think we just answered that
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't think that that's like a solid way forward. And I don't see a way of, there's got to be something in there about purpose. Maybe, I,
See, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm listening, man.
No, I was gonna say with us. I think it's the awareness, and when I'm thinking about people answering these questions, have people done the work of awareness to be at a place when they can start answering these questions? Because if you've not done the work of the awareness and being fully reflective of about yourself, your potential, the whole situation, I don't think people can really answer these questions without either being surface level or just being dismissive, or just go like or just going the opposite direction when they become too hopeful they just keep crashing down.
Right. And so I think really what the question then becomes is, what is one purpose that you have for today? I I am keeping it super simple. And so I'm just going
That,
to change
that's a
that real
I
quick.
think when you I think the questions we've asked are good when there's a niche in the plan and you just need to
Hmm.
reframe yourself. But when you've
Right. Yeah.
lost hope, you need to basically go back to like level one and stop at zero and say like it just needs to be very simple and just be like what do I want to see by the end of today? Period. Not a grand scheme of plan.
Right. No, and I agree with you. One of the first things that you have to do in any journey of self improvement, of trying to get better mentally in any way, shape, or form, is to fix physical processes. So if I'm super sick, again, just to kind of answer your question, or maybe not your question, but your statement that you just made. If I'm sick, I'm going to have trouble getting healthy. And so once I get healthy, then I start moving to that wellness idea. What do I need in order to kind of be fulfilled and happy in this lifetime? And then discussing personalization. So, how does that look for me? First step, getting some treatment. Let's go out and seek that out and try and work towards something. Then we talked about workplace. We talked about what it looks like to be and how we can improve mental health in a workplace scenario during those times. I don't want to say less important, but not everybody's going to have that same experience at that. Maybe it's not work yet, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I've been working since I was 14 years old. So mental health in the workplace has always been a big deal to me. um, and then again, once you start doing the work and getting there, then we start at purpose. We find the purpose, and then we start taking the action, and then we start building the hope. Because especially when we're trying to get out of those things, waxes and wanes, right? Like it comes on in heavy sometimes and it gives us a lot of motivation. And then at
Yeah.
other times, it's gone. And that's why there's such a big push towards discipline and just doing it. Doesn't matter how you feel, just do it. Because what they ultimately figured out, right, is that habit and habitual ways of doing things is going to get you the results that you're looking for. And discipline is having discipline is a guaranteed means of achieving habit because you do it every day in spite of. It's very hard to break that habit if you're doing it every day. You know what I
Put it like in biological, there's something called like the habituation of
mean?
nerves. Like when the nerves, you start doing something with them,
Hmm.
just become it literally just ingrains into it that it just literally becomes that thing.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you want to go down, we can really go down to the neuron level. I went and I achieved an action, or I took an action, I should say, which made a specific neuron pathway fire. I did that for a day. That that connection between neurons starts to form. It's not super strong. It's not really formulated, but I know it's there and I can take it again tomorrow. I take it again tomorrow, and what happens? I know I'm going to fuck this term up. Uh, and maybe it's not tomorrow, maybe it's over the course of time. I'm not telling you I'm the foremost expert on fucking neuroscience, but eventually what happens is you get that myelin sheath that begins to grow over those pathways. And what does that do? It then informs those pathways to fire more efficiently and more rapidly. I mean, that is habituation at a very microscopic level. This is why people, athletes train everything every single day, because they need those neurons to fire like that in order to be able to hit those reaction times and all sorts of other things like that. It's the same general idea when you are pursuing purpose and taking action towards goals. Using those things, and I'm not talking about like productivity goals. I'm not talking about being productive here. I'm literally just talking about not being a useless human. And I say useless human because that's what I was and that is how I felt.
And
Not because
I wouldn't say you were a useless human. You may have felt.
right, yes. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I believed at the time 2 decades ago. That is not the belief that shapes me today because of the things that I've done. I think that sometimes we get, I don't want to go down that road because I think it will take too long. Outside the scope of this episode, we'll come back to it because I think maybe we need a little bit more on that. But I want to come back. We got those reflection prompts out of the way. And so again, our goal is to increase awareness. Journaling,
Mhm.
super important. Journaling on these ideas,
Yeah.
journaling
Uh,
on purpose, on hope, on the challenges that you are currently facing. Because at least what I've found is I might start off super negative. You were kind of talking about super pessimistic, but then by the end, slowly I become a little bit more optimistic, and I'm like, all right, maybe I can do this, and maybe it'll be okay. And then on top of that, you have documentation of what you've done, and not just what you've done, but what you can come back to if you need it. If I know I'm going through a tough time on January 31st and 2022, whatever, some arbitrary date, and then on I don't know, December 5th of 2027, I'm like, man, you know what? I know I've gone through this before. If I have that journal, I can go back to January 31st, 2022 and say, oh, this is what I did to get out of this. This is perfect situation. Or I can build on this. This is good, but it doesn't completely apply here. Let me go ahead and build on that. And so having that record is super important for our awareness. We don't want to keep making the same mistakes twice. That's silly. Why would we do that? Gratitude, visualization, affirmations, all super important, and they kind of come naturally. I mean, I was telling you at the beginning of today, I see the path forward. All we got to do is take the steps, and there's nothing. I mean, it's like I've never seen a path so wide open before in my entire life. Usually I'm like, ooh, there's an obstacle. There's an obstacle. There's another one. Like, I mean, it's literally like the floodgates have opened, and it's like just somebody's just like push. That took a while to get to. You know what I mean? But and I that doesn't mean that there's not obstacles, that there's not challenges. It just means that the path forward is so clear, and I there's no doubt in my mind that we won't do well in all of our endeavors. Super cool. Then on top of that, if you ever lose hope, coming back to that idea of micro purposes,
mhm.
start small. It doesn't have to be huge. Start small and just keep building. Build it like a fucking Lego. One goddamn the tiny ass little single bricks. Just put it down there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like
It's
it ties in perfectly, like with what we were saying earlier. When you lose hope,
mhm.
you say you make that small like goal, purpose, whatever you want to call it. You just make that simple thing, and then you say, "How can I achieve that?" And that's how
Yes.
you start.
Mhm. Very much so. You can never underestimate just starting small. because anything that gets the ball rolling, again, we talk about those neuron pathways. Anything starts to develop those neuronal pathways. And so those are going to kind of be the things to keep in mind moving forward. And when you're journaling, right? Thinking about, okay, I've lost hope now, or I've lost a little bit of hope, whatever the case. I mean, it exists on that spectrum. How do I reset in order to be able to move forward? Is it my beliefs that need to change? Or is it my pathways? Do I have to change pathways? We've all heard this idea of limiting beliefs. I feel like it's relatively common now. Are my beliefs holding me back from that purpose? And that's
And
a good reflection question that I guess we can probably add
oh,
on there. Let me just see if I can't find my fucking mouse so I can do that. I think that's a really good one, actually. Understanding that just because you're struggling or just because you're going through challenges doesn't mean that growth is stalling. If anything, it's probably the opposite. I mean, I just did a little bit of reflection questions earlier this morning. And one of the things that I was looking at is, what am I holding on to? And the theme kind of was like, well, I'm learning how to let go. I shouldn't say learning. I am relearning how to let go of more things that no longer serve me, because I've done it constantly throughout my life. And so when those challenges come up, maybe it's not adding another tool. Maybe it is just, maybe this just no longer serves me, and that's okay. And just letting that go. And understanding that, dude, you're okay. We're all okay.
no,
It it's going to take time. Be patient.
it's, I think you made a good point. Sometimes letting go
Mm-hmm.
is that's the thing that you need to do to kind of reset. And it comes with that awareness, being like, oh, adding to. And I think it was a few episodes back we discussed. I forgot what the topic was, but like learning things. Well, I think we were talking about when things happen, and
Mm-hmm.
we learned specific things, and we may not use it today, we may not use it tomorrow, but again, it's building a tool of arsenals. You have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, and when things come, you use those tools to see where you want to go, see where you are at, and see your past, and use those tools to kind of remedy where what you want to do in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, exactly. It's yes. It, most of us have tools at our disposal. And so it is determining which ones are going to be most useful in that point in time. And y- y- just to talk about your idea of letting go, not everything needs to be solved immediately. And so rather than trying to find the solution to everything, which is what I've been trying to do because that's just kind of how I'm wired. I just want to find the fix and let's fix it. Sometimes it's just going to be, okay, this isn't going to bother me the same way. I'm not going to relentlessly pursue solutions if I can't find them. Or if they're not, I shouldn't say if I can't find them, but if they're not apparent to me at this moment in time. I'm going to stop. I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to reset, and I will come back when that problem has a clearer solution, or it's become a little bit more painfully aware that maybe I need to do something. I know it seems like I'm just like pushing it off to the side, and I don't in the slightest, it's just calm. This is going to go over here, not dealing with it, but it needs to be compartmentalized for now. And then we'll proceed with it when it's ready and time.
I think, like, to that point, we've reached a good conclusion. And just to reiterate, like, basically what we've talked about throughout the episode, you have your, and it's in the shape of a triad, but to really a quadrad. You have
Mm-hmm.
your goals, purpose, and help me out.
Passion, purpose, goals,
Passion, and then you
hope.
have hope at the top,
Uh-huh.
and they're all connected. And if you lose the our main topic this episode was hope and how all those three things at the bottom go into it. And if you lose one or you lose the hope, and we've discussed how we've given you tools which will be down in the description of how to address when you've lost that hope. And the main thing we want to stress out to you guys is having that awareness. The awareness is key to unlocking the hope or unlocking the hopelessness that you may be feeling. And once you've done that, you can start doing the work and rebuilding based on what needs to be done based on your own unique situation, what needs to be done.
That's all we have for today. Thanks for hanging out with us on Roaming Minds.
Carlos here with a friendly reminder, your mind's worth it.
If you enjoyed our conversation and want to learn more, hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening. Spotify, Apple, whatever works for you. Maybe even drop us a review if you're feeling extra kind. If you're the social media type, come find us on Instagram at roaming_minds_pod. We've got updates, behind the scenes bonuses, all that good stuff.
Catch us next week for another ADHD-filled adventure, chasing life, liberty, and whatever shiny idea grabs us next.